So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong. It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with J.A.C.
That's me. I'm J.A.C, and this is the pre-party presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm having a great day. I hope you are too. I just got done talking about pro wrestling with my friends on TikTok for the last hour. And the great news is I scheduled an interview with Little Cholo. If you guys aren't familiar with Little Cholo, man, woo, that's going to be a fun interview. I started watching independent wrestling probably about like 2001 here, like I guess we're 25 years ago, here in SoCal, Southern California, where I live. And the first independent show I went to as an adult was I went to a wrestling promotion called UPW, Ultimate Pro Wrestling. Ultimate Pro Wrestling, the same school that produced John Cena and Keiji Sakota and Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich and Jesus and a lot of other talents. Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, kind of a made guy. Samoa Joe. I'm trying to think of who else. Navajo Warrior. I mean, he was already established. But anyways, that was a great wrestling promotion. And what got me to that show was to see the Hardy Boys were scheduled to be on one of their events. So we went to that show to see the Hardy Boys, and then this whole world of independent wrestling opened up to me, something I had no idea about. And from that point forward, I was going to independent wrestling shows all the time. So at the Norwalk Indoor Swap Meet, there was Rev Pro, which had Super Dragon and Scorpio Sky and B-Boy and Shogun and Excalibur, the same Excalibur you guys see on AEW programming. And then I would go to the Anaheim marketplace, and that's where I would see WPW, and I would find guys like Little Cholo, and there's a lot of other talents from that promotion too, from Martin Martin. And that's kind of my first tiptoes into independent pro wrestling. So Little Cholo was a big part of all that, and having Little Cholo on the podcast is going to be awesome. He does House of Lucha here in I believe it's in Orange County, California. That's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to talk to him. Alex Misery is watching, and that's good because we're going to be watching Alex Misery later tonight. He said that Aron Stevens could catch these hands. If you guys aren't familiar with who Aron Stevens is or Alex Misery, then first, you're not watching the NWA. You should be watching it. Number two, they're going to fight tonight on Roku at 5 p.m. Eastern. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let the brain think about it for a second. What time does it air on Roku Sports? I just completely forgot. Now I have to look. See, it happens. See, the thing about doing live anything is you're literally just winging it. At least that's what I do. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? But it's not necessarily a good thing, And you can watch the NWA every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and again at 11 p.m. Eastern. Or out here on the West Coast, it's 3 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern. So there's that. Wow. Yeah, thank you, Misery. I you know what? Sometimes I struggle. What's interesting is you don't. You are a non-struggling person, and I'm proud to call you a friend. How much of an idiot was Bruce Tharp? Patrick. Oh. How much of an idiot was Bruce Tharp? Can we define Bruce Tharp as an idiot? First of all, he was an attorney. He had to graduate to get his license to practice law. He had to pass the bar. So I'm not going to say he was an idiot. I would say maybe he's short-sighted, right? Because so the NWA, to understand Bruce Tharpe, you have to understand where the NWA was at that time. And there was a point where the National Wrestling Alliance was a co-op of wrestling promotions throughout the United States. There were promoters in Florida and in California and in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey and in Texas and in Tennessee and in Chicago, I guess Illinois, and St. Louis. And you had all these territories who recognized one world's champion. And this is how the original NWA was as well. But, you know, after ECW, there was this collective that started, you know, this territory system under that NWA banner. Remember, you got to remember the NWA banner never died. It just transformed. So, you know, in 93, you had WCW and New Japan Pro Wrestling League. I think it was 92 EMLL left to form CMLL. And then in 94, ECW, they tried to crown a world champion. Shane Douglas tossed the bell on the ground. So all of that happened within the span of 2 or 3 years, right? And then you had Portland close, which was a big promotion with Don Owens. I'm getting maybe too much into the weeds here, but the NWA came back after it had some issues. It came back. You know, they had Dan Severn on Monday Night Raw with the 10 pounds of gold. He was wrestling in independence for the NWA, competing for NWA New Jersey and NWA Florida, and then doing shows internationally, defending the 10 pounds of gold. And so Dan Severn did a lot to establish some credibility for the NWA. Working with the WWE for a short time helped establish some credibility for it. And then, of course, Severn left the NWA, left the WWE, and subsequently left the NWA simultaneously. They did crown a new champion, and the belt did travel around a lot, finally getting on Shinya Hashimoto, who was, former New Japan IWGP champion and a big deal. You know, he was a relatively big deal, and his promotion 0-1. And so then the NWA kind of revitalized again. The titles went to TNA under a licensing agreement that the board of directors of the NWA fought for. They worked with TNA for a short time until it was no longer fruitful for either party. So then under Bob Trowbridge, and Dave Marquez, they tried to end the 5-year agreement with TNA Wrestling, which they did, where TNA kept kept the title that they had built, still recognized their wrestler as champion, which was Christian Cage. The NWA removed the NWA World title. At that point, TNA was already calling the NWA World title the TNA World Championship. So it was an easy split. The NWA crowned new champions, and things were moving in a positive direction. They had a TV show on satellite TV on a program Colors, on the station Colors. They were doing small arena shows all throughout the Bible Belt, Florida, Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada. And things were moving pretty positive. There were more NWA members and things were going well. And then for whatever reason, there was an urgency to remove the NWA Southwest promoter and Ken Taylor. So once they removed Ken Taylor, that opened up the spot for other Texas-based wrestling promoters, and one of them was Bruce Tharpe. The other was Tony Brooklyn. And that was a good and bad thing, but Tony Brooklyn and Bruce Tharpe, along with Fred Rubenstein, ended up suing the organization over some conflicting information, but essentially it came down to insurance. And it was the same insurance that those promotions were using. Were saying that they wasn't a viable insurance. The lawsuits were supposed to happen where the NWA was originally LLC'd, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Texas judge, who was very familiar with Bruce Tharpe, would force them to do this in Texas. And so why did Ken Taylor get kicked out? Ken Taylor got kicked out because he was, in all honesty, it's because he was asking for too much. He wanted to have control of the world title, and he became a problem for the board of directors for the NWA. So they voted him out and voted in Bruce and Tony to run the Texas territory, which, you know, had they thought about the long-term effect of that, Bruce and Tony then sued the board of directors of the NWA over the insurance, and it became a battle that the NWA could not win. So the board of directors, more commonly known as Pro Wrestling Organization LLC, ended up putting settling with the trio of Fred, Tony, and Bruce, and they formed a new LLC, International Wrestling Corporation, and they assumed the assets of the NWA, which is part of the settlement. Then members of the NWA, basically, a lot of the members just left because they did not want to work with Bruce and Tony and Fred. And then they started the licensee program that brought new territories to the NWA. And you know, you could argue, did Bruce Tharp ruin the NWA? In some regards, no. One of the best things he did was make the NWA a single entity. That prolonged it and allowed that prolonged the life of the NWA and allowed William Patrick Corgan to purchase it and to have the NWA that we have now. So for that was a smart move. The other smart thing that Bruce did was he was able to get the NWA champions in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And for a short time, he had a relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. The drawback was he wanted New Japan to buy the NWA. And the other drawback was he kept causing the NWA to, he kept using NWA funds to get himself to Japan. He made himself part of the product, where none of the other presidents before had on-camera roles or very limited on-camera roles. He literally was flying himself to Japan on the NWA dime and building this character of this weird, wacky NWA president who was a weird dude, and it didn't make a lot of sense. So when you ask what happened to Bruce, I mean, I think a lot of ego hurt the NWA. But if he hadn't done what he did, then the NWA would never have been in a position to be bought and sold by William Patrick Corgan from Bruce, and then we wouldn't have the NWA that we have today. Now, could have something better have happened? Absolutely. Could something worse have happened? Absolutely. I mean, there was talks. I know of at least two different wrestling promoters, one of them based in the United Kingdom and one of them based in I think it was Alabama, who had offered a substantial amount of money to purchase the NWA, but I don't think that they would have been better owners than William Patrick Corgan is. In other words, a mark. Well, I mean, you said it, Matt, not me. But yeah, I mean, the guy, again, some good ideas, but he never fully executed the things he promised the NWA. He promised books. He promised more New Japan talent, which we got. He literally brought Hiroshi Tenzin and Satoshi Kojima and Jushin Thunder Liger not only to the United States, but also brought the titles and had those titles defended in Japan. He had put the World Heavyweight Championship on Rob Conway, and he and Jack Stane were the NWA World Tag Team Champions. And then they went to Japan, defended both the tag titles and the heavyweight title. He brought Chase Owens to New Japan Pro Wrestling and had him defend the World Junior Heavyweight title against Jushin Thunder Liger. And so for those reasons, I mean, that was pretty badass. You can't tell me that wasn't cool. You had literally the 10 pounds of gold being defended on, what do they call the New Japan pay-per-view? Wrestle Kingdom. The 10 pounds of gold was defended on the third Wrestle Kingdom. And was it the main event? No, but it was pretty freaking cool to have your world champion on the second biggest company's biggest pay-per-view. And so Kojima won the title. He had a couple of defenses in Japan and in the US, and then even in the UK, he defended the title. And then he would lose the title back to Conway. Conway would win it and then lose it to Tenzin. Tenzin would lose it to ·J.A.C. Tenzin defended it a handful of times in Japan, but came to the U.S. and lost the belt to J.A.C. So it set up a lot of positive stuff for the NWA, but it also kind of bankrupted it. There wasn't a whole lot left when he sold, and a lot of people believed he sold the company because he couldn't continue to maintain it. There was some huge ambitions. They wanted to do a NWA network, which was basically the Paul Bosch library, and he spent a ton of money to get all this content digitized. And then they made the mistake of having him do the voiceover commentating, which was terrible. Why would you do that? Just leave it intact, and they had maybe tens of hundreds of subscribers, probably more like tens, but nothing materialized the way that they had intended to, had they hoped. So when Billy Corgan bought the NWA was in desperate need of new ownership. But the old adage, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Had Bruce not attempted to do all of these things, would we have ever had J.A.C. as world's heavyweight champion? Would you have ever had Kojima or Tenzin as world champion? Would you have Chase Owens defending the world junior heavyweight title in Japan? Would you have Liger winning the junior heavyweight title in Japan? Probably not. And maybe that doesn't mean anything, but I feel like the importance of the title is also the people who wear the title, right? There's some guys who are going to make the title by holding the title, and there's some guys who get made by holding the title. Satoshi Kojima holding the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, he was later in his career, but he's also a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, a Triple Crown Champion, an MLW Champion. So that was kind of a big deal. Hiroshi Tenzin, former IWGP Champion. Pretty big deal. These aren't they weren't superstars by any stretch of the imagination, but because they're a little bit older in their career, they weren't the top guys anymore, but they certainly brought value. And Jushin Thunder Liger putting his name on your product, I think is pretty amazing. And when Chase Owens regained that World Junior Heavyweight title, it was significant. It meant something. And look, Chase Owens parlayed that into a career with New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he became a member of the Bullet Club, and he's still technically employed by New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it did do some very positive things for people. Why did Bruce Tharpe sell to Billy Corgan? I think he was looking for an out. He was losing money. He wasn't making money. And the NWA, I don't know how the NWA never had a huge bank account, right? Once it was just the remaining members, there was maybe $50,000 at the checking account. That's what the story is. It's the rumors that we heard. There wasn't much money in the bank. And it was, the members that benefited from the NWA were the ones that went out there and pushed the NWA name. Dave Marquez will tell you he benefited from being a part of the NWA because he took advantage of that name. It opened up doors and buildings for him that would never have opened if it would have just been Dave's Championship Wrestling. Similarly, I could see where Billy Corgan, who at the time was leveraged to buy TNA Wrestling, lost his lawsuit against them and had some cash on hand that he was prepared to buy TNA Wrestling. Instead, he settled for the NWA. And, could you imagine where we'd be, what the world would look like right now if Billy Corgan had bought TNA Wrestling? Would TNA Wrestling still be around? It's kind of hard to even imagine that. So I hope that answered your question, Patrick. If you have any more questions, let me know. Roman said, so people call you Kevin Owens too, huh? It happens a little bit more than I'm willing to admit. Hey, Seahawks Nation. How are you? Hope you're having a good, what is today, Tuesday? I had a good Tuesday. I went to the gym today. Every day is a good day when you can go to the gym. Corrupted AAA. Oh, look, it's Kevin. Oh, look, it's Kevin. Oh, look, it's Kevin. Going to Raw on the 9th. I didn't think Raw was bad, but this is my NWA hour, guys. I can't talk about Raw now. You should have been here an hour ago. That's when I would have talked about Raw with you. Now I have to talk about the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. Some cool things have been happening in the NWA as of late. First and foremost, we have we have another date lined up for the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. 𝙉𝙒 𝙋𝙍 will be this Friday. He will be in Chicago for NWA Chicago. I don't think he's actually defending the title, but he is going to be there, which is kind of a big deal because, the last few world champions, okay, we can name them, right? So you have 𝙉𝙒 𝙋𝙍. He's your world's heavyweight champion. He beat Tom Latimer at NWA 77. Tom Latimer had beaten EC3 at the Crockett Cup in 2024. And then at the NWA 75th anniversary show, EC3 beat Tyrus, and Tyrus had beaten Trevor Murdoch, and Trevor Murdoch won the title when it was vacant because Matt Cardona got injured, and then Matt Cardona had taken the title off of Trevor Murdoch, and then Trevor Murdoch had taken the belt off of Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis took the belt off of Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes took the belt off of Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis took the belt off of Tim Storm, and Tim Storm took the belt off of Jack Stane, and Jack Stane took the belt off of Hiroshi Tenzin, and Tenzin took the belt off of Conway. Conway took the belt off of Kojima. Kojima took the belt off of Conway. Conway took the belt off of Tokyo Monster Kahagas. Kahagas won the title when Adam Pearce vacated it. Adam Pearce had taken the title off of Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana took the belt off of Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce took the belt off of Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana took the belt off of Adam Pearce. So, yeah, I mean, we could go back quite a few ways. Matthew Underwood, that's a great question. So Sunday Night Slam, are we doing a post-show, a pre-show, covering on Tuesday, Thursday? Great question, Matthew. Tell me what you're interested in, because I'm going to be there on Sunday. Literally, we're 5 days away. I will be there. I'm making plans to probably be there early to sit down with Dave Marquez so we can talk about what this is. I mean, it's kind of funny. And I'm proud to say that I've been able to be a part of a lot of, let's take a few steps back and try that again. I am fortunate enough to say that I've gotten to be at or a part of many of Dave Marquez's first time events. Now, I never got to see Dave's first Championship Wrestling from Arizona event. I never did any of the Arizona events. But I was there when he was still NWA Pro Wrestling, and they did an event at a baseball stadium in Yuma, Arizona. I was there when Dave Marquez brought the 10 pounds of gold to China with Nick Aldis and Colt Boom Boom Cabana. I got to be a part of that. I was there for the first Championship Wrestling from Atlanta TV taping. Although I've never been to Memphis, I haven't been a part of that, or Derby City. I was there for the first NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV taping at the CBS Studio Square. I was there for the NWA Pro tapings that they did in San Bernardino and the ones they did in Hollywood. And so I've been a part of a lot of Dave's first things. And I was there for Dave's first primetime live TV taping. And that took place at Thunder Studios during COVID. I was the only fan there. I got special preferential treatment. And I'm going to have special preferential treatment this Sunday when we go do Sunday Night Slam. So we're going to talk about it. I'll definitely be posting results on the page. And maybe I'll do a podcast, just a straight up audio podcast that night coming home from the show, talking about my thoughts on it. Of course, we'll have that interview with Dave Marquez. Maybe I could put something together with the interview and post-show thoughts. But if that's something that you think we could use, Matthew Underwood, slide in the DMs. Give me some more thoughts on this, because I definitely feel like it's going to be a very interesting concept. I don't know if this is in every. I was at the Inoki Dojo shows, Chris. I didn't go to the first one, but I was at the I used to have the post. I think I have it in the other room. Dare I go get it? I was at the New Japan USA show that featured Heat defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. It was the same card that featured. I was at some of them, Chris. That New Japan USA, the first one, not the later ones, not the New Japan Strong, but the New Japan USA. I was there for. I think it was. I want to say a Shinsuke Nakamura and Ken Shamrock had a shoot, like a worked shoot match. The Havana Pitbulls, Rocky Romero and Ricky Reyes teamed up against. Oh gosh, I can't remember who. And this was such a long time ago, but I was at those events, and then I was at those Inoki Dojo shows that featured ROH, like Samoa Joe defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Makabe, and CM Punk was doing commentary. So, I mean, I've been at a lot of Dave Marquez's events, and this will be the first Sunday night slam show. And this has been in work. This has been in the works for quite some time, and it has kind of changed what it was supposed to be initially, that they were going to try to be on live TV right here in the Southern California market. That's changed. And I feel like this will continue to change. I feel like what they're doing now is a step in their positive direction. And it's honestly something that the NWA should be looking at, because they're doing a live event that will air on Roku and on YouTube and on Triller and basically everywhere that the NWA has been and has not been able to keep fostering a relationship going forward, right? Like, so NWA used to use Triller to have their pay-per-views, and before they would also air the regular NWA Power on delay, and then they would air it also on YouTube, and then they move it from YouTube to the CW, and then from CW to X, and then now onto Roku. Like the NWA, you're kind of behind the times, man, because you got Dave Marquez, who does not have the influence that William Patrick Corgan has. I'd be the first one to tell you that. But Dave Marquez is going to go produce this show at Thunder Studios in Long Beach, California. He's going to have it air on YouTube and on Roku and on Triller. And it's like the NWA can't do a live event like that. What's going on? So I don't know. But I'm excited about it. So yeah, Matt, we'll be talking about United Wrestling Network Sunday Night Slam. And I'm hoping to see some pretty cool things about that. I'm very excited for it. As you guys should be too. And like I mentioned, there are some pretty cool events coming up for the NWA. Like I said, the Chicago event is taking place this Friday night. Then they have, they're calling it Kenzie's Birthday Bash also on Friday night in Seaverville. They'll have the Slime Balls defend their tag titles. The Crossfire title will be on the line when Kenzie Paige wrestles against Rolando. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe that's not one that you should go out of your way to see. Then on Saturday, the Rhea County Rumble for the Joe Cazana Promotions. They'll be running again. World League Wrestling has their next event on March the 14th. So there's a lot of NWA action on March 20th. Hold the line for Exodus Pro. Tiffany Nieves will be taking the NWA Women's TV Championship to Albuquerque, New Mexico for the Duke City Championship Wrestling. They're calling this event Get It, Got It, Bueno. Perfect. And then NWA Texas Dog Pound Championship Wrestling happening in San Antonio. They'll be having their event. What day is that? Sunday, March 29th. And then also they'll be back there on April 26th. And then, of course, the big event in Texas for the NWA will be April 4th in Forney, Texas, as they do the Crockett Cup. that is, already scheduled to be a part of the Crockett Cup. You've got the Good Brothers. You've got the tag teams, the Immortals. You've got the Chicago Tag Team Champions the hard way. A lot of good stuff coming for the NWA. And of course, they're doing TV tapings on April 26th back in Tampa. So a lot of stuff happening. And honestly, I'm not sure where to begin with the NWA because so much stuff is happening so quickly. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But the tonight's television taping, I think it's already happened, obviously, right? They've already recorded it, but it should be pretty interesting. We're gonna see some pretty big time matches, and one of them that I'm looking forward to seeing the most is our friend Alex Misery versus Aron Stevens. Aron Stevens, formerly known as Damien Sandow in the WWE for new time viewers, has been more of a manager and has kind of been treated only as a manager for NWA Power and only making very rare appearances in the ring. He will be wrestling against Alex Misery, one of the hottest names within the NWA. In my opinion, he is a reckless, thrill seeker, very much in the same vein as like a Sabu or a Hayabusa. He takes very big, high risks in the ring, which is some of my favorite style of wrestling. So I can't wait to see that. Also, you're going to have a, let me get a drink here. There is a 4-way elimination match with Alex Taylor, Tyler Franks, J.A.C, and Bryce Hanson. I don't think we've met Bryce Hanson yet before on NWA programming, so this will be kind of new. Sean Megan's pointing out Alex Taylor's journey outside the junior heavyweight division begins tonight, and I cannot wait. Taylor's a great athlete. Taylor could slide right into that TV title, and I don't think any of us would blink an eye at that. And I kind of hope he does. We also have pretty empowered Kylie. The pretty prima donna Kylie Paige will wrestle. They're calling her the enigmatic Herra. I don't know what the whole thing about Herra is. It's kind of an over-the-top, goofy-ass gimmick, if you ask me. But Herra defeated Kylie Paige a couple weeks back in a tag team match via submission. Now, at that time, Kylie's foot was on the ropes when she tapped out. The referee did not see it. So there was some controversy around that match, but I still believe that Kylie is going to seek her revenge. And this is going to be a submission match, so it's up to Kylie to really step up her game. And then the main event for this week's Power is going to be former World Heavyweight Champion, former Tag Team Champion, former National Champion, Trevor Murdoch taking on Pretty Boy Smooth in a one-on-one match. Now, these two have never faced each other one-on-one. Trevor Murdoch, up until a couple months ago, was your NWA World Tag Team Champion with Mike Knox. Knox got injured. Trevor's been wrestling singles ever since. Up until recently, Pretty Boy Smooth was teaming with EC3, and they were in hot pursuit of those NWA World Tag Team titles, but they never got to it. So now EC3 has he's still at these tapings, but has officially departed from the company. He has sent Pretty Boy Smooth, to take on Trevor Murdoch, and we'll have to just wait and see what's going to happen with that one. Hey, Victoria, how are you today? Hope you're having a good Tuesday. I'm having a good Tuesday. Talking some wrestling with just a few of my friends here. Honestly, I'm running out of breath, but we're here to talk pro wrestling. I'm glad you had a good day. I hope everyone has a good every Tuesday. I hope everyone has a good Tuesday. But I'm really excited. We were talking about the United Wrestling Network, and if you guys will allow me to go off topic just a little bit, because I'm very excited about this event that's happening this Sunday. It's a loaded card as well. And of course, this will be the first Sunday Night Slam. So again, if you guys are able to watch via, it's going to be on Roku, it's on YouTube, it's on Adrenaline Plus, it's on Fubo, Swerve TV. I don't even know what Swerve TV is. What's up, Rick Del Santo? It'll be on Triller. It'll be on Sling. apparently it'll also be on DirecTV. I don't know where it'll be on DirecTV. Maybe under the Adrenaline Plus channel. But they've got some interesting matches. First and foremost, I just saw TJ Perkins wrestling in AAA for their cruiserweight title in AAA. He had a match against, I think it was Dragon Lee and Laredo Kid. And now TJP is working this Sunday for Sunday Night Slam, and he'll be in a match with up-and-coming youngster second-generation superstar Jake Redondo. That, to me, is a money match, and people don't even know it yet because Jake Redondo is very much a up-and-comer. I would classify him as a junior heavyweight, but people don't know him yet, and I think they're in for a shock when they see him, especially against somebody like TJP. We're going to have the Transcendence versus the Wolf Zaddies. The Wolf Zaddies are former UWN World Tag Team Champions. It's a shame that the Wolf Zaddies weren't invited to be a part of the Crockett Cup because I feel like they would have added some legitimacy to the tag team tournament. But nonetheless, Bad Dude Tito, Che Cabrera, love those guys. Can't wait to see them in action. Evan Daniels will be defending the United Wrestling Network Television Championship against Rob McKnight. Evan Daniels is quite a interesting fella. I've seen him work, like, really kind of mature through the championship wrestling from Hollywood, championship wrestling from Arizona, to build the superstar level that he's had. I mean, I remember seeing him just a few years ago doing dark matches with AEW when Wardlow powerbombed him like 3 times. And now he's the TV champion for the United Wrestling Network, and he looks great. He does a good promo, looks great in the ring. Can't wait to see this matchup. Luster the Legend, my guy. I saw Luster the Legend in China. He's a former United Wrestling Network World Tag Team Champion. It was crazy because in China, Luster the Legend sticks out like a sore thumb. He's like almost like 6'6", I would say, 6'7". Big guy, covered in tattoos, mohawk at like 8 in, and everyone's reaction in China just we were in this the hotel buffet, and everyone just, it was like a record skip when he walked in the room, and everyone just kind of looked at him. And this was like a 5-star hotel. It was the Shangri-La in Wenzhou, China, and everyone just kind of looked at him like, holy shit. It was the best. And then it was funny because then Watts came in. Watts is a man of African-American descent and legitimately about 6'7", maybe 6'8". And then they all just stared at him afterwards and they forgot about Luster. Anyways, he'll be taking on Richard Holiday, one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling right now. He is currently the NWA Midwest Championship, although this is definitely not a Midwest title match for sure. Just something to note that he will be there in action. The other matches that are pretty exciting to me on this card, you've got 𝙒𝙬, former NWA World Tag Team Champion. 𝙒𝙬 will be in action against Fidel Bravo. 𝙒𝙬 was world champion back right after TNA and the NWA split. The first tag team champions were Joey Ryan and Carl the Machine Gun Anderson. Machine Gun got picked up by New Japan Pro Wrestling and started off on his adventure there. And before he left, they did the job to 𝙒𝙬 and his tag team partner, Phoenix Star, Los Luchas. They were the first NWA World Tag Team Champions of the modern era after Joey and Machine Gun. And they had a quick run with those belts before they lost the titles to not Dark City Fight Club, but the Skull Crushers. And the Skull Crushers are like, think of LOD back in their prime. That was kind of like the Skull Crushers. Also in action, friend of the show, Danny Limelight, and his tag team partner, Slice Boogie, will be defending the They will be defending the United Wrestling Network World Tag Team titles against Live Danger, standouts from the New Japan LA dojo. I have not seen Live Danger in action before, but I know that my guys, Danny and Slice Boogie, had an amazing match just last week against the Wolf Zaddies. So we'll see what 5150 can do now. 5150 are former MLW World Tag Team Champions, former IWA Puerto Rico Tag Team Champions. So I can see 5150 really shocking some people with this matchup against Live Danger because, they're wrestling the unknown. They're wrestling two guys who, again, do not have a national presence, but there's a lot of buzz about Live Danger. So we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping this will be a good match. And then the main event, you may have seen him recently in Game Changer Wrestling. You may have seen him recently in the National Wrestling Alliance. Hammerstone comes to Long Beach, California, back to Thunder Studios to face Jordan Cruz. Now, Hammerstone has faced Jordan Cruz in the past, but he's never beat him. Jordan Cruz is 1-0 against Hammerstone. But their match didn't take place in Thunder Studios. It didn't take place in Long Beach. It took place in Arizona, and for a promotion not associated with the United Wrestling Network. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Hammerstone's a former West Coast Pro Wrestling champion, and fans of the United Wrestling Network universe were introduced to Hammerstone back in the Primetime Live series. He was the West Coast Pro champion, and he defended that title against Eli Sparks. Am I forgetting the name? Oh, man. I can't. I have to do better than that. He defended the title against EJ Sparks and Steve Tresenio. Hey, guys, I appreciate you on TikTok who have been giving me all those likes. I would really appreciate if you can keep smashing that like button, helping us get more eyeballs. It really does help with the algorithm. It helps me get seen by a few more people. So if you can keep smashing that like button, I'd appreciate it. Gifts are appreciated, but not necessary. I do appreciate you guys helping out with that. So yeah, I'm really excited about this United Wrestling Network card. And again, this could be a game changer, not just for the UWN, but the way that pro wrestling is looked at on the independent circuit. You know, we've seen Game Changer Wrestling do live pay-per-views. The NWA used to do live pay-per-views. The NWA is on Roku Sports every Tuesday. And maybe we will see the NWA on Roku Sports now that they've Championship Wrestling and the United Wrestling Network do a live event on Roku. Maybe this will push them into doing some more live events on Roku. And that would be fantastic because the NWA, up until this moment, the NWA has chosen not to do live events. And, the fans, I don't think I'm speaking out of line. One of the things that is off-putting about the NWA is the fact that the content is recorded 2 to 3 months in advance before it ever airs on television. Now, people in the NWA say, oh, what are you worried about? Why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because we know that matches are happening and we're asked to wait 2 to 3 months before we see them. I feel like the return on production is so bad that it turns some of the fan base off. And if you're seeing a company who, in some regards, is a lesser stature than the NWA able to do this, then there should be no reason the NWA cannot do this. The chat quieted on both platforms. But I appreciate you guys hanging out. I appreciate you guys talking wrestling with me. But yeah, just going back to what Chris Drummond said, were you there, Jay? Yeah, I used to go to the Inoki Dojo shows. I drove to Santa Monica I drove to Cudahy. I went to Anaheim. I've been to, what other cities have I gone for Dave? I went to Las Vegas. I saw the NWA at the Orleans Arena under Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Dave Marquez. To Yuma, Arizona at a baseball field to watch the NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. To China, like I said, Wenzhou, China. I can't remember the name of the arena. I have the media pass somewhere. I think it's in the other room. But the Hollywood Athletic Club, I got to see the NWA, that was the Inoki Dojo events. And like I said, I was at a lot of the TV tapings for the original New Japan USA with Samoa Joe as the world champion. They did do the Bryan Danielson American Dragon versus Ultimo Dragon match, and that was pretty phenomenal. Dave Marquez has tried to do a lot of very interesting things in pro wrestling over the last few years, and a lot of that had benefited the National Wrestling Alliance, including this the anniversary show, the 70th anniversary show that includes Power, the initial Power tapings. Patrick says, I've always wondered if Memphis would be included in the UWN Sunday Night Slam. So, Patrick, based on the roster that I'm looking at, you could make the point that they are, because the NWA, excuse me, the United Wrestling Network show is going to feature Big Mama defending the women's title, and Big Mama had more wrestling matches for Memphis than she has for Hollywood, for Irvine. But I know it's not exactly like a highlight reel either. It's not like they're taking the best talents of the United Wrestling Network and putting them in a match. They're taking the best talents that they can find. Hammerstone is not under any kind of UWN jurisdiction. He doesn't regularly wrestle for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or Gotham or Memphis or Derby City. I mean, Hammerstone has done a few primetime live shows and has been on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood dating back 5 years ago. Thank you for all the likes. I appreciate you guys. But no, it's not going to be like a best of. It's going to be, who's available. They've got the World Tag Team Champions in the 5150, the World Tag Team the World Heavyweight Champion in Jordan Cruz, and the Women's World Champion Big Mama will all be on this first episode. There will probably have the Heritage Champion Maximilian, but I don't know if he'll be wrestling or if that's a match that won't be televised, or not entirely sure. But the Memphis guys, again, if we're just booking wrestling, and this is no shot at what they're doing in Memphis, but what works in Memphis works in Memphis. What works in California works in California, and they don't necessarily have crossover. Is this a free stream? Yeah, Rick, it's going to be on YouTube on the Adrenaline Plus. You're going to want to subscribe to that channel. And then also, I believe, on Roku on Adrenaline Plus. I believe Adrenaline Plus is like a network, a new network. And they're starting off with Roku. And I think it's going to also be on a few other streaming platforms like Fubo and I just had it here a minute ago. Roku, Fubo, Swerve, Triller, and it says DirecTV. So I don't know. Maybe that's a thing, but it's going to be available for free. And Adrenaline Plus. If you let me see right now. Roku, Adrenaline. Okay, so Adrenaline Plus is a next generation FAST channel, a 24/7 channel. Oh, and so you can watch Adrenaline Plus on DirecTV, YouTube. I don't know what Kogan and HPTV and is. LG channels, XUMO, Sling. So I think if you go onto your television, if you have an LG TV, it might be a pre-saved channel on there. But it's a FAST channel. So it's going to be available, everyone. On March 8th, Sunday Night Slam, a new era. And that's literally on their website. And it looks like they do a lot of MMA, Muay Thai, I feel so weird because I can't even talk. Pickleball. They got pickleball, everybody. Pickleball will be on there. So go make sure you subscribe to Adrenaline Plus. Again, it's on hold on a second. Wait a minute. One more bit of information. Our production partner, ADR, Adrenaline Plus, works in partnership with the award-winning Thunder Studios, producing the majority of our live events and original programming at Thunder's Dialed Arena. So there you go. There you go. I hope I answered your questions. is it realistic for me to want a UWN title match on Memphis once in a while? I think 100%, Patrick, that is something that you and fans of Memphis wrestling, it is realistic to want that. Thanks, Gus. Yeah, my neck is fine. Appreciate the concern. Yeah, I do. First of all, Double D says, "Hey, crew, don't forget to like and subscribe." Am I saying that right, Double D? And then he says, "Sorry, I haven't been here. My little brother's B-Day today." Well, that's way more important than this, man. But I appreciate you hanging out. But getting back to Patrick, is it realistic to have expectations of the United Wrestling Network titles defended in Memphis? Yes, 100%. They should be defending the titles there. But also at the same time, I understand that Dustin and Maria Starr have an idea of what Memphis wrestling is and what it should be. And their emphasis is more on those Memphis titles. Now, we've seen the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion and National Champion in recent weeks defend their titles on their programming. Could they book Jordan Cruz to defend the United Wrestling Network World title? Absolutely, they could. Do they want to? Probably not. No, it's A, like A, yo. Oh, A, crew. A, crew. I'm working on it, Double D. I'm working on it. So to answer your question, Patrick, yes, you should expect that. They are a part of the United Wrestling Network family. Hell, they even run their YouTube accounts on their channels. So it should be part of all of it, but it's not. For whatever reason, they don't. But if you're watching Memphis every Saturday on their YouTube channel, you should shout out, say, "Hey, bring in Jordan Cruz to defend that world title." Whew. The fun part about Tuesdays is talking for 2 hours with you guys about pro wrestling. The bad part about Tuesdays is talking for 2 hours about pro wrestling. I get tired doing this. I don't know how. I watch streamers on TikTok who are there like for 3 or 4 hours at a time. I don't know how they do it. Anyways, we're supposed to be back on Thursday for the Alliance Guys podcast. Jaden, DKM, and myself will be recapping, reviewing, and regretting watching this week's NWA Power. I'm sure it's going to be great. I know it's going to be great because my guy, Alex Misery, will be putting his hands on Aron Stevens. And for that reason, it's going to be a fun show. I hope you guys will watch that. But I think we're going to call it a day right here, right now. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us every Tuesday. If you would like to help support the stream, real quick, I'm going to get to that, and then I'll say my goodbye. Patrick Moore says, Dustin Starr has told me that logistics kind of gets in the way, but I'm not sure if he's full of poop or if it's true. Well, let's think about this from a business perspective, right? Because I'm a businessman myself. I like to look at things from dollars and cents. Does it make dollars? Does it make sense? Would it be cool to do? Yes. Does it financially make sense to do? Probably not. Remember, now Mondo lives in Florida. Mondo lives in Florida, and I know for a fact that Th$llbilly Silas Mason lives in Tennessee. So a flight from Florida to Memphis, I'm not sure what that would cost, but I would imagine that the Th$llbilly probably drove up, and he probably drove up with the Country Gentleman. So it really made a lot of sense for Dustin to book them, because if they're not spending the money on transportation, they could probably afford to pay those guys what they're asking for if they're driving up themselves. So that makes sense to me. Now, Jordan Cruz lives where? In Southern California, I think maybe even to San Diego. So that's a long flight from San Diego to Memphis, and it's an expensive flight. And I know from traveling myself, I don't think there is a direct flight from Los Angeles to Memphis. You probably have to do like Los Angeles to Arizona to Memphis, or Los Angeles to Dallas to Memphis. And, it gets expensive. So, yeah, it would be 100% cool to see 5150 defend the tag titles, or Evan Daniels to defend the TV title, or Maximilian defend the Heritage title, or even Jordan Cruz defending the world title. But the fact of the matter is, that if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And 𝙉𝙒 Mason, this is not a shot at him at all. That dude is a talker, and he is a seller, and he moves tickets. He's an attraction. I don't know if I could say the same thing about Jordan Cruz. I like Jordan Cruz. I feel like he's doing an adequate job as carrying the World Heavyweight Championship. But I don't know if he's the guy that will sell tickets in Memphis. And I'm just being honest. Now, of course, with the NWA, and maybe Memphis needs to break off. Sure. Or they don't. It's their own universe, and they could do their own thing. And if at any point they want to bring in the United guys, they can. It's not like, you got to remember, the United Wrestling Network isn't the NWA, right? The NWA is the territory system. The NWA has these promotions that, feed off of that name, the NWA. Memphis is doing Memphis, man. Hell, Memphis is advertising that Vince Russo bought into the company. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Vinny Russo joining the Memphis brand. I mean, we saw what he's done for JCW, and some people are into it. Not me, but some people. I don't know, man. All right. I thank you guys for hanging out with me. Again, Tuesdays are so much more fun for me when I get to chat wrestling with you. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We will be back on Thursday. The Alliance guys will be talking about Power. We'll recap it, review it, and also add our 2 cents on what the direction of the NWA is going right now. Patrick, you're going to have to look that up yourself, brother. But if you want to help support this live stream, we do have merchandise for sale on our website, alliance-wrestling.com. Go to the shop button. We have t-shirts like this one, hats like this one that you can pick up. And it does help fund the cause of getting me to more wrestling shows, and helps pay for the cost of producing and promoting and everything else that we do here at the United Wrestling. Did I say United Wrestling Network? Wow. The alliance-wrestling.com. I wish they were paying me at the United Wrestling Network. I wish someone was paying me. Jeez. But anyways, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much. That'll do it for us. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are the...
Fuck me, man.
I'm sure you got this, man. But yeah, just making sure, okay, if you're actually facing any challenges or any issues with the meal plan, man, I think it's remarkable. It's actually a matter of making sure the plan is working for you there, and actually, changing or dropping calories